that ain't crazy.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Call Me Crazy. Y'all can call me Bas.
And you can call me Triz.
Hey, we back in the building together.
Second episode together. It's crazy.
I know.
Such an amazing journey. I'm happy to be here. Thank you everybody for, watching the first episode, listening to it, however you consumed it, audio or video,
I'm excited about the video component. I feel like that's definitely a level up from, well, we had it before, but I'm excited for the consistent video.
I mean, and look at the quality. We here, we got our red chairs.
I know, it's the red chair talks. I love it. How's your week going so far?
So far, so good. I mean, it's been some ups and downs, but I've been trying to make sure I stay focused and just kind of like get it done. I have that get it done mentality. So when there's bad things happening, I'm like, all right, what's the solution? Let me figure this out.
Yeah, solution
It might not be the best solution, but a solution is better than no solution. So, I just been, going through the week, taking on the challenges that come with it.
Facts. No, that's so true.
And ignoring Doug Ford.
Yeah, I can't. Actually, speaking about Doug Ford, well, for anyone who's not familiar with the Ontario government, right now it's a whole mess. It's pretty ghetto right here.
Yo, the Washington Post made an article about the whole mess.
Oh, really?
It's leaked over into like U.S. publications
so
and stuff like that. You know what I mean? The Washington Post is one of the biggest and oldest
so embarrassing
publications.
Because honestly, I don't know. Like, I tried to avoid the news, which is probably not, like, I guess ignorance is bliss, but I'm also just over everything they say. But I heard that our cases are way higher than Atlanta. I don't know if that's true.
I think I saw the same tweet that I didn't do the research myself, but someone mentioned that Peel has more cases than Atlanta.
That's crazy.
And so Canadians are now looking embarrassed. The little, the Marge looking, because at first we was just like, yo, America, y'all trash.
I thought
y'all
the States was ghetto.
And then, but now, some of the places that didn't close down
are doing great.
Are doing fine.
Which I'm confused about, because I'm pretty sure Atlanta was it? Oh my gosh, if this is wrong, it's embarrassing, but wasn't that where All-Star Weekend was?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
And that was just like last month.
Yeah, that's a whole event.
You remember the Jeezy and Gucci verses?
Oh, that was in Atlanta too?
Yeah, we interviewed Kenny Burns like a week after that, and he hosted the party, the after party at the club.
Oh, I know Kenny.
Yeah, Kenny was just talking about how the club was so packed, and he's just like, yo, I'm never going back to the club after this. Like, I met my quota. I did this big monumental event for hip hop, but like the amount of people that was compressed in that club, he just was like, yo, this ain't right. But that same place has the least cases.
Which doesn't make sense. Like, nothing makes sense anymore to me.
No.
But talking about things that don't make sense, anyone who's been on social media or who's kind of been following stories, the big thing right now, or what I've noticed or heard across different platforms, is Khloe Kardashian asking her unfiltered, unedited, just basically just her being natural, picture being taken down from
asking who?
Posts. Her team.
And who posted it?
I think it was like her aunt or like her grandmother, like something like super innocent.
Yo, you gonna make your grandmother take a photo?
Yeah.
Hey, that's wild to me. Yeah. If my grandmother posts a photo, first of all, damn, my grandmother posted photos. That's lit. But
right?
I took a glimpse at this photo, right? We had, I had the opportunity to still find it because apparently, like you said, they was taking it down from everywhere.
I was like, how'd you find it so quickly?
I found it in like 5 seconds. Your team's doing a terrible job, Chloe. Found it in 5 seconds. And yo, like first of all, I didn't even think that was Chloe at first. So I kind of get why she wanted it down, because it kind of, is so different from what we normally see. Mm-hmm. But you know what? That's you, baby girl.
Right? Just own it.
That was you.
And the thing is, like, so this brings on the bigger conversation of beauty standards and how that has to do with our wellness and mental health. But her family plays such a big part in how we construct beauty standards now. A lot of girls are literally going to plastic surgeons and bringing pictures of the Kardashians, or, have unfortunately, like body dysmorphia or eating disorders or complications with how they look because of their family. So I don't know, like they can't even uphold it. So it's just fake. Like, I don't know. How do you feel about it?
It's like the colonizers speak saying, why is there so much racism in the world?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's you.
It literally is you.
You started the fire.
Yeah. I get it. Like it must have been hard being the quote unquote, like, I really don't like this term, but the ugly sister, because that is something that she was often like made fun of for being, but that just ties into like this whole idea of like what is beauty standards and where do they come from. And for years it was based off of colonialization and who held power and what was deemed beautiful. But now a lot of that is based off of urban and Black culture. You know, a lot of these celebrities want more Afro-centric looking features, so it's a little bit backwards to me. Like, I don't know.
She's trying to play the victim, and I think just because we see how like she knows that she looks completely different from that photo.
Yeah.
And they definitely control which content goes out, because if you ever seen photos of her sister Kim in certain angles, that ass just look weird.
I know.
It just looks weird. It just the thigh to ass ratio is just nowhere near balanced. Yes. So, you know, they definitely control their media, but I don't like the fact that it's becoming a trending topic, because I think it just speaks on the fact that beauty standards and what we find, you know, what we define as beauty just has too much value. And I think they don't realize the power that they have, because now you have younger girls and you have girls who do have natural beauty trying to morph into this thing that they've created.
Yeah, because if you really think about it, Kim was the original IG baddie, right? And
of the crew.
Wait, what do you mean? Before that, who else was an IG baddie? Like
who else? There was baddies before her. They just probably
I mean like on Insta. Like she was really the first influencer.
She came up when social media sparked.
Yeah. And like beauty is the ability to monetize yourself. You know, a lot of women now make money solely based off of how they look. So if you see that there's a bag there, like, I get it. You get a BBL or whatever, or, you know, some plastic surgery, you're probably going to make more money. It's probably going to pay itself, which is a really sad reality.
Some of that shit look nasty, man.
Yeah, in real life.
Y'all need to be suing these surgeons who y'all fly out to go see, because to be honest, I mentioned this before, I think men want natural.
See, I was really, when you said it at first, I was like, no, like every guy wants an IG baddie, which I still kind of think, but I've heard that amongst, like, when I've had conversations with men, every guy I've spoke to, for the most part, always says they want a natural girl.
You know, when we talk about these BBLs and things like that, those are girls who didn't have it trying to be the natural girls. There's a lot of natural girls around here who just got that. And so if you realize most of the girls out here getting these BBLs and things like this, because they're not shaped like that. So they are trying to emulate Black people.
Yeah, that's kind of what it's switched to, right? This whole idea of fetishization, glamorization of Blackness and making it the new beauty standard, which is problematic, of course. But two things I wanted to say is, unfortunately, it has this false, like, imperfection that I think a lot of men might not even realize. They might think, and you might disagree with this, but they might think what natural is really just a girl who's, you know, still doing makeup and everything, but she's just not getting plastic surgery, you know, or getting her eyelash extensions and, you know, her brows done, and still doing a lot, but compared to doing the most, she looks natural. So
I have no problem with, you know, a girl beating her face.
Yeah.
I have no problem with, you know, extensions. I have no problem with the lashes and things like that. It makes women look beautiful, and it also provides them with some internal confidence that, you know, is good, is healthy.
I agree.
Now, I think that it gets a pretty crazy when it's like that's an everyday, absolute mandatory thing.
Yes.
Like Chloe being upset that we seen one photo out of hundreds of her unedited. It's like, all right, like, yo, fam, we know underneath your makeup you're not as pretty.
Yeah.
Who are you trying to fool? Because I've been in relationships with girls who always, like, ain't leaving the house without putting on makeup. And I know what she looks like at home.
Yeah.
So we aren't in this imaginary world to think that you look like that all the time.
Yes. And
so
I
at this
think
point,
that's a good point.
Her trying to take down photos and making a big deal about it. Why are you trying to make a big deal about it?
Well, I think because you have to remember it all comes from within. So really and truly, confidence shouldn't be determined by your external, right? So a lot of people in general might not feel confident if they don't have their makeup beat, or if they don't have that lineup, or, you know, or all these different things. But you will constantly be chasing confidence instead of just sitting in it and having it built within. Because if, you know, you have a poorly angled picture, or, you know, there's days where you just don't feel like being your face, you're still going to leave the house because, you know, deep down, your value is not determined based off of this false illusion that you have to portray to people. And I think that's the issue. A lot of people, I don't even want to say a gender, they think the solution is external, when really and truly you have to kind of do the work inside too to match. And I don't think that it's like, don't put makeup, don't beat your face. Like, if anything, do it because that makes you feel good and adds to the process. But you shouldn't be solely focusing on that as the solution. But, you know, like I think I had this conversation once, and I was like, yeah, like sometimes I like putting on a little bit of makeup, and it's like a guy getting a fresh lineup, you know, like I'm not gonna tell him not to feel good about himself because he got a fresh lineup. He's gonna feel great, but his value doesn't decrease, or shouldn't decrease, when, you know, he hasn't gotten a lineup in maybe like 3-4 weeks. Because, you know,
in a panoramic, it's
yeah.
normal.
So, yeah, right? So a lot of people have had to face that. But to bring it back to the whole idea of Black culture and it being the new norm, there's this term that I brought up to you with blackfishing. And we were talking about that.
Blackfishing.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
I know.
I didn't know that was even a term until recently. But I have noticed these culprits out here where if you put photos side by side, holy, you would be shook. Shook it. Because and just to tie in the Chloe thing, I think the bar has been raised as to what beauty is based on them doing all these false things. Like, and I don't even want to call it false things, because there's a whole industry that thrives off of it, and some women are doing some amazing things in the beauty industry. But I think we put too much power in it to where it's messing with some people's minds. Yes. Because you have to at some point agree that, wait, this isn't my tone. What'd you call it? The makeup. This isn't my shade? Like what is it? Yeah, shade. It's not my shade. Complexion. So you have to know you're violating. There has to be some girl code violations in place. I think it's honestly, the way I look at it is, I think with anything, when it's a lie, good liars believe their lies. So good people who are good at blackfishing truly believe that that's what they look like now. They know what they're doing. Yeah, but I think they're so far into it. So it's like, you know, when you have a filter on and you're playing with the filters, you're like, yo, like, I do this. I'll be like, oh my God, I look bad. And then the filter kind of glitches and it goes back to your face. You're like, oh, never mind. That's not what I actually look like. You know, so I feel like it's like that, where they're so used to seeing this hyper edited version of themselves that they've convinced themselves that that's who they really look like. And they have to look like that every time. Yes. Otherwise, it's like this dissonance, this cognitive dissonance that happens, and they feel like, no, that's not how I look. I look like this version, super edited, which is dangerous, like we said, because now they constantly have to live this high maintenance life, and it's based off of like really not confident. I want to say, I'm not assuming that all IG baddies or influencers think like that. I think a lot of them don't, but it's important to have to acknowledge that. And I love influencers that will show, you know, the rawness of their beauty, you know, whether it's stretch marks or scarring or, you know, different body types. Like I like that better, because now it's breaking this one size beauty ideal, this what women look like. Women have different body types. There's not just one type of body. And I think real men acknowledge that. Yes. And so when some men, you know, some men appreciate girls who go above and beyond to look beautiful. I'm not knocking that at all. But what I'm saying is, when we say natural, it doesn't mean, it just means that, yo, it's okay if you don't have to go from extension to extension to extension. When you going to let your natural hair breathe? Every day doesn't have to be makeup, slay, beat.
Yeah.
It's fine to be in your natural state because at the end of the day, that's you.
Yeah.
And if a guy, when he with you because of the makeup, the beating and the extensions and the BBLs and all that stuff, does he actually care about you?
No. Hell no.
So, I mean, my bad. It might be your hot girl summer and you don't, you just out there might be, you in the streets this year.
Hot girl
So,
summer.
that might be your thing. But I'm just saying, if we talking about building something with someone, if a guy has a problem with that, maybe that's not the wholesome guy you want to start something with.
Ooh, okay. So, that actually makes me think of the whole conversation that we spoke about last week with Kevin Samuels. And he was on the Joe Budden pod. You heard the whole interview, correct?
Yeah, I heard the whole thing.
Most of it. I was listening to it right before this. And the whole conversation around like high value men, women, norms within this current society's relationship, specifically in the Black urban BIPOC community and what that looks like. And unfortunately, well, not even unfortunately, I feel like I want you to share your viewpoints, because before, what we had shared when it came to the whole topic is we looked at him as like this crazy, like rude, like he's just coming out of left field, putting women down.
Yeah.
But you brought up a good point of he's just bringing things to light that have been kind of reinforced and just normalized that are still very hurtful to the community.
Yeah. So if you haven't heard the interview we're talking about, is with Joe Budden, one of the most recent that I think is like one episode back. But we all learned about Kevin, not we all, but most people learned about Kevin Samuels from the clip when he was like, "You're 5 at best."
Yeah.
The clip I played for you.
Yeah.
So we saw this savage guy. And a lot of people, and outside of just his situation, a lot of people see clips, and I'm guilty of this as well. We form opinions based off of that 1 minute clip without knowing the full context. Some things are just funnier that way.
I know.
You know what I mean? If we know the context, it just might not make it funny. But a lot of people don't do their due diligence to go and look back at this situation. But that interview made me realize that Kevin Samuels not a bad guy.
Interesting.
Maybe not the best messenger, but his overall objective, based off of understanding where he's coming from and why he created the platform he created, he has some valid points. And I think we just got caught up in the quote unquote funny moments, and the savage moments. Yeah. But his deep rooted reasons are valid.
Yeah. Which I do agree with. These are things I talk about all the time because, you know, our relationships play a big part in how we feel, our mental health, our well-being. It's actually one of the dimensions in your wellness spectrum. And his message of targeting like the family structure and, you know, not normalizing cheating and having multiple partners, or, you know, not glamorizing or not focusing on the superficial things versus what can someone bring to the table other than money, or what can they bring to the table that money can't buy, or, you know, monetary gain and all these things. And I do agree with that. Like, I agree with that part of the conversation.
So one of the things he touched on is that back in the day, marriage rate was much higher than what it is now. Can we agree that relationships today are hard?
Oh my gosh. First of all, marriage seems almost impossible now, let alone monogamy.
What do you need to get married?
Oof. That is a great question. Triggered. It's so funny because my idea of marriage keeps evolving because I don't want to give up on the idea because I feel like I am an old soul. But it would be someone who shares that idea of monogamy, shares the idea of having a healthy foundation of, like, you know, communication, trust, security, and then finding an equal. When I say an equal, I don't necessarily mean, you know, someone who thinks like me and acts like me, but someone who seeks to be better, someone who has similar moral standings and character and value systems. So like understands like, you know, I will be faithful to this person because I like XYZ, you know, and I don't have to teach them that. I also think someone that's healed and willing to work at a relationship without giving up the second it gets tough. So I think that is what would be part of why I would want to get married. And it has nothing to do with monetary like value. Of course, coming together is bringing, you know, your financials together. But I would hope if they are a mirror reflection of me, I'm here hustling, doing my thing, that they're doing theirs. So it's not what they can bring to me financially. I just expect them to have their own.
So in the conversation with Kevin Samuels, he mentioned the fact that a lot of the women today, and he explained why it got to this point, but a lot of the women today feel as though, and these are the clips that also went viral. They feel as though you got to have 6 figures, you got to have, they want the guys to be, he called it a 666.
Yeah, 6 feet, 6 pack, 6 figures.
Yeah. And so short men immediately get destroyed.
That's rough.
You go on the Twitter timeline right now, someone talking about being short.
That's
or how she don't want a short guy.
Well, you know what's crazy? I prayed to God and I was like, God, honestly, even if he's short, I'll take him, but just make him a good man. Like the fact that I'm saying, God, like I'll settle for a short guy.
You sound so adorable.
I'll
take him.
Like even if he's short,
please, Lord,
please
help me.
I'm tired. Maybe the taller they are, like the more demonic they are. Like that's toxic Baz, like praying. But you know, like the fact that I was like, that was me settling. Like no, like it's this idea of why do we want tall men? You know what I mean? Like, why is that the standard? And it's the same thing with maybe why does a guy want a girl with a specific feature like a fat ass? It's like, what is that really doing to the relationship?
Yeah. Facts. What for me, it's all this, like what we talked about with the beauty standards. We allowed so much things we seen on the timeline curve the reality of what we actually need. And we started thinking about what we want.
Yes.
So it went from needs to wants. So back in the day when the marriage rate was like 80%, which Kevin Samuels described in the interview, when it was 80%, we didn't have all this luxuries and things that, you know, we wanted. We just wanted the basics.
Yeah.
We just wanted a solid foundation. Wife, home, car, make sure food on the table. The basics.
Yeah. Healthy kids. Yeah.
And to find ways to, you know, there was black businesses within our own community, you know, people, there's black, we provided services for our own. And that started to get torn apart. And I think there's a lot of systematic things at play
100%.
that seen that and was just like, nah, we can't let them build.
100%.
We can't let them have a healthy community. We have to break that up. So part of that is not our fault. We can't fully blame it on the timeline.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that's just part of it that happened from the baby boomers time.
Yes.
But now today is just far as intensified because advertisement changed. We started to give women more power, and that's what women wanted. They, you know, from times when they couldn't vote, they were, you know, protesting, and women got more power, which there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But at some point, a lot of things shifted. And I'm kind of all over the place with this, but I'm just showing you like a timeline. A lot of things shifted from when things were 80% marriage rate.
Yes.
And now, I think what Kevin Samuels was trying to do was trying to point out the things that we need to get away from.
Yes. They're no longer serving us in that way. Which
a normal guy is nothing wrong with being normal.
There's not.
It's not like
that is real. There's nothing wrong with being normal.
There's nothing wrong with being normal.
Yeah. Ooh.
And when I say normal, meaning not famous. Like you don't have to be. You don't have to have a ton of followers. I got less than 3K followers, but I'm lit in real life.
Yes, I'm lit in real life.
You know what I mean? I think we just have to realize.
T-shirt. I need that.
I'm lit in real life. That's a brand. Hey, don't go stealing our hey.
I know, so I'm gonna steal that.
So my point is, along the way, things just all turned into wants versus what do we need?
Yes.
And what's real for me right now?
Yeah, but I think a lot of people don't know what they need because they lack that self-awareness, or they're basing it off of, you know, we're so easily basing what life should look like or feel like based off of false realities. Like we said, with beauty standards, it's the same thing with what our life should look like, you know? So these ideas of whether it be what car you're driving, you know, what phone you have, all these things. So it really comes down to understanding yourself to become a better person to attract a better partner. And there was something else you said. My mind's kind of going blank. Yes, so the whole idea around marriage and the timeline. So I think I shared this with you, but then I was like, no, save it for the pod. So my dad's side of the family is African, and my great-grandfather, so that's what, 2-3 generations ago, had 2 wives. And because he was part of a tribe and he married within those tribes. And, you know, at the time, women didn't have autonomy, and they were basically just homemakers. Same thing with my grandmother. She never went to school. She was a homemaker, and it was an arranged marriage too. Mm-hmm. So I think only recently within the baby boomers was love-based marriages. And a lot of cultures still don't have love-based marriages. They're still very much based off of like keeping money within families and, you know, political ties and this whole economical thing. So we're thinking of marriage in a new context, but also we have to remember there's been things that have been created systematically to set certain cultures or people behind, like you said, like mass incarceration, you know, and back in the day, like the whole idea of slavery and how they broke down the black family and separated like fathers from their families.
The system has been attacking us from time,
and it's so deeply ingrained in trauma. So to evolve to a healthy dynamic is hard when it's been like that for so long, and then glamorized through pop culture and you know, monetary gain. And I also get it, like men are not, it's not obvious that men are losing in this situation. Like it's not obvious in the sense that like they get to have their cake and eat it too for the most part, but I think it does hurt them a lot.
Some of the things that well, first of all, you know, the women that are definitely like on the men ain't deserve anything campaign is gonna disagree. But if we go back to when the system was like really attacking the black community, if we talking about like the 80s going into the 90s, when incarceration rates were high, police brutality was high, stop and frisk in a lot of major cities. You told me back in the day they used to card people here, which was led to a lot of racial profiling, things like that. And then all throughout, you know, the world where, you know, racism thrives, it was targeting black men. So it definitely broke them away. And then they provided resources, and this is something that Kevin Samuels touched on, and I'm kind of like, you know, recapping. It was resources that was provided to women, and women chose the resources. Yeah. Kevin mentioned that, you know, the food stamps and things that was meant to be a temporary fix, when the women received that and they were locking men up, they no longer relied on men because they could rely on the government, and that became like this permanent thing because the mindset was like, yo, like instead of me relying on a man to provide this with me, I'm gonna receive this, and then I'm gonna also try and do what I can. Yes. And that's how women kind of like didn't need men per se. Back in the day when it was an 80% marriage rate, they needed men. Yeah. Women weren't allowed to do much then. So the man had to provide. And I guess that also, you know, men also was probably doing their thing back then too. Cheating, you know.
That hurts my head.
If you watch The Color Purple, which, you know, in that interview as well, Kevin Samuels, they hated the movie. Like they felt like that movie was like, has done damage to the community. I don't know if you watch Color Purple, but Color Purple definitely, you know, was a movie that was praised for, you know.
I think it's a book too, right? I feel like I read the book.
I don't know why, but in school in America, we watched that in school.
We watched it in school too here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's not just, I thought it was just American school.
No. We watched it too. But I had a lit English teacher, and she made us watch like the best movies.
Lit as in dope or lit as in literature?
Ah, that's funny.
Because I watched it in a literature class.
No, as in dope, but that's okay. That's funny. No, we watched that and then Pay It Forward and Cool Runnings. I just remember those.
Why are we watching Cool Runnings in school?
I don't know,
is so funny.
It was great though. I told you she was lit. Liddy.
Wow.
I loved her.
Yeah. For the culture.
Yeah, for the culture. Like she was so good. No, but what you're saying is right with the whole idea of just men and women. It's these standards that we've created now through generations and passed down that, hold on, how am I trying to say this? Bring it back. So Kevin Samuels is just highlighting what is now normalized in our society.
Yeah, he pointed out that things were more back then, and obviously there were flaws in that. Mm-hmm. But as we try to fix things and figure it out, we had systematic things breaking it apart. And then as women became more comfortable to speak up, when they were, women became stronger together, the companies started marketing to women. Women started being the leaders of the household because men weren't there. Yeah. Either they were locked up or they were absent because, lack of education and all type of other things in the community, or just plain old ignorance. And then, as it happened, women became the leaders.
Yeah, that's true. And
they had the buying power. And so companies started to shift their marketing to women. And so, I feel as though it was a change that needed to happen where women had more power.
Yes.
But I also felt if men were able to actually maintain some sort of balance along the way, we would still be in a better place in terms of marriage rate. I feel like it's just been unbalanced on either side throughout this whole journey.
That's so interesting because I'm trying to think like, what would we need now to have healthy relationships? Like, what is it?
Humbleness.
That's hard.
I mean, I have goals. Like, I want to be a 6-figure guy.
Yeah.
That has like the 6-pack. I don't care about the 6-pack, but I want to be 6'6". Yeah. I mean, I'm ready. I was gonna say I am 2 6s, not in the pandemic anymore. But anyway, I'm 6 feet. The 6 figures that I feel like every guy wants to do, but most guys want to do better. Yeah. So in terms of what women want, some guys may not have the 6 figures, but you might brush off a guy who 5'11", 5'10", or something like that, who may be the next 7-figure earner.
Yeah.
Because and you might miss your blessing. You might say man ain't shit around the man that was the shit.
So yes, but that brings back the point of what you were saying. Like when you're saying that, I'm like, but him having that 666 does not mean he's a good man for you.
No, that don't make him a high value man.
Like it's not. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I've had the 666. He was not a good man for me.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean he was a bad man, but he was not ready to be like in my and
that's because that's all wants.
Partner, yeah.
That's all wants versus what do we need? What type of person are you? And what type of person do you need to complement that along this journey we call life can actually get from A to B together. And like you said, you want someone who knows themselves and has healed, and it's a never-ending healing journey.
Yeah, of course, it's a journey.
So someone who could endure time with you. Those are what we need to be focusing on.
But I don't think a lot of men want that. Maybe that's me assuming.
Wait, what?
Want to be a husband, want to be a father, and like have just a family household. Like a lot of men are okay being, chasing the bag. They're okay with chasing the bag. They're okay going to the gym, but God forbid you ask them to settle with one woman. Like that to them is like the biggest thing. Is
that what y'all describe as the Toronto man?
Toronto man ain't shit. I'm kidding. This is not okay. So before we get into this whole conversation, I personally don't agree with this. I don't think that all Toronto men are trash. I actually don't think all men are trash.
We're gonna get in that, but I do want to answer your question.
Yeah.
certain men don't want that, but I think there's a lot of guys that do. I think there's a lot of guys that do want to find a woman that they can settle down with and that they can build with. I don't even like saying settle down.
Yeah, because you shouldn't be settling down.
Yeah, no one. It's not a settle.
Yeah,
you need to find someone that's, like you said, an equal. And we're not talking about monetary. We're talking about someone who complements you. So I'll answer the question in terms of what I need as a man for, because I asked you at the beginning.
It.
You ain't asked me, but
sorry, horrible co-host.
But I'm gonna share. Like, I feel as though a woman who knows herself, knows her traumas, and actively wants to work on it. Most importantly, because I feel like a lot of our things that we're dealing with today and the people we are today is directly results from
100%.
Our kids. Trauma, and you probably have multiple episodes that you can listen back to on that subject.
There's definitely inner child healing and mommy and daddy issue talks about that.
Exactly. So that's something that's a priority for me. And then also, I'm not going to be misogynistic and be like, oh, she got to know how to cook or she got to clean and things like that. Although that does show you have skills to raise a child.
And to take care of yourself.
So being able to cook and clean is not a perk that is mandatory to me because it means I won't like you, because I could still love you and you not know how to cook.
But how does she eat? Like, I need answers. She
can't boil water.
Yeah, she can't make rice. Like, what?
So these are, if I want to have kids with somebody, and so now let's strip away all the wants and all the like materialistic things, and let's just think about the raw basics of life, the necessities.
Yes.
You have a child, you must provide nourishment.
Yes.
And feed this child.
Yes.
I can also chip in, and I will chip in and nourish this child, feed this child, clean up after this child. But women want men to do more in the household too, right? It wasn't, remember back in the day, it was like, oh, the women handles all of that.
Yeah.
Guys today have evolved to be able to do that. There's I know a lot of men that are great cooks.
Amazing cooks.
I know a lot of men that keeps their homes clean.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So more than ever, I think there's men that are ready for that role as a husband, not just to be, oh, I'm the man of the house. You cook, you clean.
Hell no.
Right?
See, if I can cook and clean, then I would like my man to be able to cook and clean or have the skills.
I think it's dope when me and my partner can cook dinner together.
And equal, not, and I get it. Like, everyone has what role they want to play, but I do think that my ideal is to still play a role, that feminine role in the dynamic. But, masculine, feminine role, that can apply to any type of relationship. It's just, I know what role I want to play and finding someone who can complement that, But I agree with what you're saying. You
agree. I also let's just acknowledge the fact that there are probably women out there that don't give a shit about any of this.
I know.
And there's probably men out there that don't give a shit about any of this. But guess what? Y'all go be together.
I would love that. I'm okay with that.
So I just want everybody to know. I just want everybody to know, like we're not saying like this needs to be the standard.
Yes.
We're just, if you really look at it and we talk about and we break it down to just what needs are, in my opinion, this might be the healthiest, balanced way.
Yes. And you have to be honest with yourself, because a lot of people want something, like we said, but it's not really what is good for them. They're not built for that life. Like, a lot of girls will say,
What do you mean? Go deeper.
I guess I'll just use me as an example. Like, I was in a life where, like, I dated professional athletes. And I thought I wanted that life, but I was not built for that life. I'm very comfortable with the idea.
What attracted you to that life? Was it just the athlete, or was it the lifestyle that athlete could provide?
What's funny? It's not the lifestyle at all. It had nothing to do with lifestyle. It was more the idea of, like, this hyper masculine man who held power.
Sorry, I gotta laugh.
I know. This is toxic Baz. Like, I'm grown.
Reason I'm laughing is because there's a lot of athletes out here that are fuck boys. There's a lot of athletes out here that are bitches. There's a lot of athletes out here who are not hyper masculine whatsoever.
I know. I know.
Just because, you know, you play sports don't mean, you know, this guy's going to be a good leader for you.
It does not mean he's a good leader. It doesn't mean that he has character. It doesn't mean that he's a man of his word. Like, there's so many things that I had to learn. But the idea of that, you know, a man walking into a room, everyone, like, being like, ooh, you know, like, quote unquote, alpha, you know, that is what attracted to me to them. Mm-hmm. But then once I got to see what was behind that idea and what that lifestyle looked like, I was like, I want no part.
Wait a minute.
So wait, you can have 3 girlfriends? Like, what? That's not okay. You know what I mean? I'm boosting. That never happened to me with 2 girls. But like, that's the norm, you know? Like, you have to almost come to an agreement that this is the type of role I want to play. Like, I know athletes, you know, in like big leagues where their wife have to agree to the idea that they will sleep with other women, just don't sleep with women in the city that I live in. And it's a sad reality.
Sure, you have a huge chunk of NBA players that move like that, and then, you know, you got the rare ones that are faithful in the room and things like that, who, you know, I think every team has 1 or 2 of those guys too that, you know, hey, yo, my wife's at home, buddy. Or, you know, or my wife's coming out to this away game.
You shouldn't, and that's the thing. You can't generalize it either, right?
Yeah, so it's like, it's just such a, and that's just, you know, us, that's assumptions. Women, I guess you fell for one of those assumptions that these guys were going to be this, and then you had to learn. And it's the same thing, you know, with, it's the same thing with women, but I actually won't mind a woman that, I'm not saying like because she doesn't have to be Aisha Curry. Where, you know, Aisha Curry models herself as this, I'm a great wife, I know how I cook, and that's why, you know, this and that,
this wholesome,
you know?
like a wholesome woman.
Yeah, I actually wouldn't mind a hybrid. And I said this before, is that I want you to go and have a hot girl summer.
Woo, bring it back. Okay, whoa. Please
go get that shit out your system.
Oh, before she comes.
Oh yeah, no, I don't want to marry a girl in the midst of a hot girl summer.
Oh yeah. I think everyone should have that type of like phase in their life, men and women.
Facts.
Yeah. Get it out. No, so you know what you want.
Exactly, because I feel as though you go and you never experience it.
Yes.
And then as you get older, you have regrets, or you have these, or your mind just wonders what life would be in this situation. You know, so go, by all means, go live your life.
Do your thing, hot girl summer.
I'm never disagreeing with any of these women that are out here saying, you know, it's about to be a hot girl summer or a city girl. I don't know, maybe not the city girls, so it's scamming. But that's the scammers. But, you know, like, do your thing, live your life.
Yeah.
Because when you have done that, you get out your system. And I've heard men say this too. And say this to men, like, yo, go live your life.
Facts.
I've already lived and done things in South Beach, South Florida, grew up there, seen the type of women there, lived in Atlanta, lived in the Bahamas, living here now. I've already traveled. I've already dated women from different regions, different ethnicities, things like that. And, you know, throughout the time, like, I was able to determine the type for me based off of the different experiences I had. So using my experiences, I've developed a better understanding of what I want.
Yeah.
And so people who haven't done that,
can
they really say the same? Can they say they really truly know what they want if they haven't experienced enough?
I think you need experiences. And that looks like so many different things. Like, people think, like, you know, have a, like, what's it called? Go through your hoe phase? Is that what it's called? Yeah.
I call it a hoe phase.
Hoe phase?
Yeah.
But a hoe phase can mean, like, it doesn't necessarily mean, like, you're out here, like,
sucking
in these streets. Like, basically. Like,
I don't mean that, but
it could mean, like, you've just explored different options and gotten to know how different people are and what you like and what you don't like. And it does not necessarily mean in a sexual way. It could mean just in any type of way. So I think it's important to still have that. And till you are sure that's out your system, I think you should leave people who are ready alone. That's my opinion.
Hey, and you know, I think we're touching on it. So when we talk about what we need for marriage, I think we really just have to understand who we're engaging with.
Yes. Oof.
Because those type of things are super important. Yes, love is a factor, but you could love someone who is not the right person for you.
I've done that.
Who hasn't? I'm guilty of it as well.
Yeah, it's normal.
You know, and I think that's also things that you had to go through.
Yes.
those things help refine you.
Yes.
I feel not a little. I feel very much refined after some of the relationships that I've been through.
Oh my God, it's so true. The other day I said to someone, well, not the other day, like it's been a minute. I was like, I'm not no side chick. I'm not even a girlfriend. I'm a whole wife. Mm-hmm. And I say it with confidence because I know who I am now. As
you
a
know
woman,
who you're prepared to be with your partner as well.
Exactly. I'm not here to be someone's little girlfriend. Like, leave me alone.
How we building today?
Yeah. Where are we going? If you don't want to be on this journey with me and build with me, then leave me alone till you are.
Yeah.
And that took time because before I would never have said that. Like I might have thought that or knew that was my trajectory, but I wasn't there yet. Mm-hmm. So you mirror who you know you are and who you are, not who you are working towards being, right? So you have to be in alignment with what you want, but you have to have also done the work. Because there's a lot of women out here that are probably good or men who are good, but they just haven't done the work yet. So they can't find that person. And part of the work is meeting people who aren't for you so that you can level up and get to that full potential.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
where are we going wrong today? Because the marriage rate seems impossible to ever be at 80%. More than ever, people are more comfortable with being single for the rest of their lives. Women toggle the idea of just adopting children.
That is literally me. I used to say this. I thought I was going to get in vitro at like by 32, 33 if I didn't have a kid. I'm 27 now. I was like, I'll get in vitro. But
meanwhile, there's, high value men out there.
I know. Like, why am I doing that? No,
but,
I know.
I think we have to just go back to the fact that there was systematic trauma that led to an even more imbalance and a bigger challenge for the Black community to build together.
Yes.
And then, some things got off balanced too much to one side. Not to say women had too much power, because there's a lot of things women still deserve that they have not gotten.
I know.
Pay women what they deserve, please.
Yeah. Please.
And you said, please.
Yeah.
So there's still some things that need to be discussed, but at the same time, I feel as though we need to bring it back to like, what do we need? And we know everybody can't be a 6-figure earner. If we want to go deep into it, society can't exist without poverty. There's gonna be people who just won't make it to 6 figures. Yeah,
but might bring something else to the table that
exactly.
And I think what you
and you might have a happy life with someone who just makes $30K a year.
You might have a beautiful life.
Beautiful kids.
Yeah.
Kids may go on to be the next Barack Obama.
Who knows, right?
Who knows?
It's what you put value to, right? It's what you're putting value to and what defines your happiness and what is successful, which is that could be a whole other podcast in itself. But I think you said something about...
What is success?
Yeah.
Future podcast.
Yeah, stay tuned. I actually have a sick answer for that, so I'll tell you when we do that.
Okay.
But
holding out on them gems, but okay, let's go.
Stay tuned to find out. But I think the root of that is to fix that problem. And if we truly want to fix that problem, we can only start with ourselves. It's like what that MJ song, like it's man in the mirror. That's the only way you can fix the world, is to kind of fix yourself and work on yourself.
Facts.
So I think that's really the only way to change that narrative is, do your healing, work on yourself. Make sure that when you cross your blessings, regardless of it's a job or if it's a person, you are ready to catch that blessing and not be scared of it. I think we're also a generation that's very scared of getting hurt. So we're just very, we have our guards up. We're skeptical of everything.
Bunch of little bitches.
Yeah, like we just scared out here. Like, can't be playing scared no more. We can't, like. Oh man,
I feel like a lot of us are broken, and that just comes down to healing, man. Just identifying like what you went through and how it affected you, and that's why you're probably listening to a podcast like this.
Yeah. It is.
It's because you're aware that, these are things that you need to touch on.
That's the first step, self-awareness. And you can only go from there. Because if you're self-aware and you still choose to stay that way, that's a choice.
Yeah. We all got choices.
Yeah, we all have choices. And, every day you make a choice of whether you want to be a little bit better. So, and it could be as small as like, today I'm not going to say all men are trash. Like I literally stopped saying that. Because I'm
so proud of you.
Right? Like,
hey, welcome back to the, the good side.
The healthy side of the
healthy side.
And I used to say all men are trash, men ain't shit. But it's like when you start saying that, you start believing that, you start manifesting that, and that's all you see, and that's all you will attract. So I had to shift that narrative, because I said, because deep down my desires are still the same. Like, I want a healthy family. If I still say that, how am I going to get a healthy family? You know, obviously skepticism, fear cannot rule my life. So I had to regain that power.
Yeah.
But speaking about men are trash, I don't know if you've heard this since you moved to Toronto, but a lot of women will say that Toronto men ain't shit. Now, I said this before, I'm going to say it again. This is not my view.
I don't even say it right.
Yeah, that's not that bad. But a lot of women will say, oh yeah, so I personally don't think that. But I've probably thought it at one point. I thought entire world at one point. I thought the male species. But now we're back on the good side. But a lot of women say that. Have you heard it?
Yeah, I've been hearing it all the time. I'm not a Toronto man. I will never claim to be. I don't know what qualifies you to be a Toronto man. Maybe growing up here.
Yeah, growing up here, and I don't know.
Okay, so I hear a lot of women say that.
Yeah.
And they actually tell me they can tell I'm not a Toronto man because of how I move. So I want to ask you to clarify for me just a little bit more. Tell me, what are the identifiers of a Toronto man?
He's a SoundCloud rapper.
Oh my gosh.
I'm playing.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm gonna go deactivate my SoundCloud. I'm just.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I have friends that rap, and you're not trash. Honestly, I think when women say that, and I'm trying to remember why I used to say it or where it came from. Growing up in Toronto is a privilege. It's a privilege in the sense that even if you grew up in the inner city or in the hood, like, you still were up compared to most people in the States. Like, poverty in the States is a different type of poverty. So a lot of people who grew up in the States had to grow up a lot faster than us, I want to say, whether it be in how their hustle, you know, their drive, their desire to get the bag, and, you know, definitely like who they are as people. Like, there's a level of, like, I can't even explain it, but when I used to go to the States, I'd be like, yo, these men are grown. Like, these are grown ass men. Versus Toronto, I'll be like, these are boys. And I don't know why I used to feel that. And I think it just has to do with the circumstances of growing up in certain parts of the States is completely different than, you know, living in Canada, where, yeah, there are disenfranchised communities and different areas that are of lower poverty, and there's violence and all that, not to take away from that experience. But I think the drive that a lot of us have is still smaller because we are so sheltered. You know, we have access to free healthcare. You know, there's a lot of services, government services and stuff. So I think maybe that is it. And also, when you grow up in a certain city, it becomes very incestuous in a way. Like, bring it back. I know. Hold up.
So you talking about cousins dating cousins?
No, like you just like everyone just shares each other.
Okay.
Right? And we were talking about how it's similar to like growing up in a smaller island. Yeah.
Yeah.
Toronto's a big city, but it's small at the same time, especially depending on cliques or a group of people you hang out with. So, you know, you meet someone, you really get along, and then you see who your mutuals are, and you're like, damn, like, they probably fucked one of my friends, or, you know, one of my coworkers, and it's like that in itself is hard because we don't want to share people. We don't want to be passing around the same type of partners. So I think that might be part of it. And then it's also harder to lie to someone and do sneaky-ish when everyone is connected.
Okay, so hearing these things about Toronto men, it does remind me of the situation back in the Bahamas. Okay. Much smaller island, definitely influenced by U.S. culture. I mean, it's 30 minutes away from Miami, so, you know, people go over to Miami like it's an extension of the Bahamas. So you have the North American influence and you're seeing the same things on the internet. You're listening to the same music. You're dressing the same. Women are starting to have the same opinions and views and things like that. But what you have is a far less smaller pool of people. So I've experienced this firsthand living in the Bahamas for the last 5 years, where, you know, some of the things that women say about Bahamian men is the same things that, you know, women say up here about Toronto men. And yeah, by far, you guys have millions of people. So there are ways where is millions of these guys Toronto men, like they all have this issue. And you pointed out something where you said that American men just had more of a hustle, more of a drive. I guess, so you were pretty much saying that Toronto men...
At an earlier age, I felt like they definitely had to grow up faster. So, you know, now that I'm getting older and I'm around men that are a little bit older, and that's more like the pool that I'm in, now they've figured themselves out. Now they have aspirations. Now they're hustling. But when I was like 20...
Toronto was just too nice for them. It was like sheltering them. Very
sheltered. So they, you know, matured maybe a little bit later on, where I remember being 22, 23. I'm thinking, yo, I'm trying to have a grown ass man, like, you know, not a little boy who's still trying to figure out like whether his rap career is gonna take off, or, you know, he doesn't even know like what he wants to do with his life, because I knew what I wanted to do. But I do agree, and it's funny, I was just thinking about how when women say that they know that you're not from here, I can tell when a man is not from Toronto, and I do not know what it is. I don't know if it's how he walks, how he dresses, the energy they have, but you can just tell. But then I've also gotten that when I'm in the States, they're like, yeah, I know you're not from here. I'm like, what is it? Do I have an accent? Like, I don't know, because it has nothing to do with how I talk sometimes.
I think a lot of the things that I hear too in that conversation is that Toronto men cheat.
Oh yeah, but I thought that was...
So I guess that comes with the immaturity.
Yes, immaturity. I would... So yeah, because I think when you're mature, you do dumb shit.
Yeah, I think cheating is immaturity.
Yeah.
For sure. It's very much rooted in, you know, I'm not settled in
who I am
and where and what I need to be doing to make the right decision and be like, man, fuck these hoes.
Influenced by like pop culture and what a norm is. Yeah, that's true.
They look up the future.
Oh my God. Yeah, future is their God. It's crazy. And then that whole idea, but there is one thing I want to add is it's easy to think that grass is greener on the other side or across the border, when in actuality you are doing the thing that I was doing before by saying all men are trash, or, you know, Toronto men are trash. Then you'll never find your partner by assuming that he's in a different country, because maybe you've already missed your blessing and you don't even know.
I mean, I won't knock that, because, you know, I've said this to people in the Bahamas, like, yo, the island's only like 30 miles by, you know, something, and your partner, your soulmate, your partner, or your equal could be somewhere else in the world.
It's true.
So, you know, the population is under 500,000 on one of the most popular islands, Nassau. And you mean to tell me that the person that's meant for you out of billions of people is on this island? It could be.
Could be.
You could find happiness. Let me not knock that.
That brings on this whole other conversation of like, that curiosity, because a lot of people will be like, well, there's so many people in the world, like, how do I know that this is my person?
What I do want to point out is that some of the things that y'all identify these Toronto mans for, you know, some of the qualities you identify them to possess, you're going to find that in Miami too. You're going to find that in Atlanta. You're going to find that in Philly. You're going to find it in LA. You're going to get cheated on in Vegas. Yep. You're going to get cheated on in New Orleans.
Yep.
New Orleans, baby, you're going to get cheated on there too, baby. like so just in terms of...
nicer accent. Less slang.
You know, it's just, you know, something that's going to happen. I think it just really comes down to you focusing on you. And you just being who you need to be.
Yes.
Is it snowing outside right now?
Oh my God.
It is snowing. Okay, back to the conversation. Y'all understand, it's April. It's mid-April. But anyway.
I'm so confused. I was wearing a crop top the other day.
I'm wearing a crop top right now. Oh. Damn it. What is happening? We stuck in Black Mirror episode.
I know.
But anyway, you're going to find people who are not healed everywhere.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, every region has certain qualities they got to deal with, but you're going to find issues in Miami men. You're going to find these issues in Atlanta men, just in their own culture, in their own way, in their own, differences. Yes. So,
it's so true.
Focus on yourself, man.
I think that's the key thing. Focus on yourself and
be the man in the mirror. Look at the man in the mirror.
And who's for you is focusing on themselves.
And manifest what you want.
And they're doing the same, so they'll find you. Like, my best friend always used to say that. Like, I used to be like, oh, like, I'm just so tired of working on myself. She'd be like, yo, your person is doing the same thing, so you can't give up. Like, Man. It's some real shit.
It's a marathon. Rest in peace, Nipsey. So, you gotta find ways, like, what are we doing that's so exhausting?
Yeah, it's a lifelong thing.
It's a lifelong thing. Yeah. And of course, you want to have times where you could be reckless, and there's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, it's just like you got to find that peace.
Facts. It's so true.
Because without that, it will be exhausting. And what are we gonna do? What happens when you tap out of being healthy?
I know. Because growth is not stagnant, right? It's forever going. So I have one more thing I want to talk about before we wrap up, and I always want to bring in a wellness little, I don't even know what I want to call it, little gem or...
It's a golden nugget.
A little golden nugget. We'll think of something. If you guys have ideas, let me know what we should call this. But it is the month of Ramadan. I don't know how familiar you are with Ramadan and what the practices.
I could know more.
Okay, cool. So Ramadan basically is the holy month for... Muslim individuals. You refrain from any, what's the word I'm looking for? Any type of vice or luxury or bare necessity in life. So, you're fasting from sunrise to sunset. That includes no water. A lot of people are like, no water. Yeah, so you can't eat anything or drink anything. You're giving back to the less fortunate. You're refraining from sexual activity. You're obviously not drinking. When I say drinking, like alcohol, you're not smoking. So it brings you back to, this state of like reflection. And, a lot of spiritual practices, religious practices have a form of fasting and, just to bring you back into this grounding practice and self-reflection and humility as a human, which now has made me realize, as humans, we all have vices, and it's hard to break these vices, and it's hard to replace them, because you can do it for a month, but the goal is to carry it on for the rest of the year. So I wanted to know, you don't have to share all of them because some of them can be, everyone has multiple. What's a vice that you've been trying to work at? And maybe I'll share mine in like ways that I would recommend tackling a vice in your life.
Wow. I feel as though this pandemic has cut down my drinking tremendously. Some of my vices just naturally went away.
That's good.
Definitely used to drink too much, and I would
that's
say that's very common. A vice that I could share. That's crazy.
I know, right? Because sometimes the thing is, like, a lot of the times these vices are used as coping mechanisms for things that we are not happy about. So we're not necessarily proud of our vices either, but they're just things we've kind of developed. We might not even realize it's a vice. Like, I didn't realize me shopping like crazy was a vice. And I'm like, well, it's because this is instant gratification. It's making me, I kept saying, well, treat yourself. You deserve this. Like,
can me being, I love the hustle.
Oh, that's a vice. I know exactly what you're going to say, because that's mine too.
I love the hustle. It's in me.
Yeah. But you're using
my father works like around the clock, never home.
That's my dad too.
Morning straight until like late night, double shift type guy.
Yeah.
Roll up his sleeves, gets it done.
Yeah.
I did get that from him.
Yeah.
I feel as though I commit to things that I may not necessarily be able to fulfill because I have this mentality of nah, let's do it, let's go.
Yeah.
Or versus saying like, nah, that actually, that's not a realistic time frame or certain things like that. Can hustling too hard be a vice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's mine. I used work to cope with trauma. So that's what it is. Because why? You have to ask yourself, why am I hustling this much? Because most times we're using it to suppress things that we are not necessarily facing. So, you know, when I went through a breakup, I was like, yo, I'm about to turn it all the way up when it comes to work. I'm working 2 jobs, have an internship, I'm doing the podcast, I'm doing this. And it's like, I literally threw myself into work because it was so much easier. You know, I'm thinking, oh, this is a good thing. You know, I'm working, I'm getting the bag, I'm here like waking up, working, bettering myself. But no, that's still a vice because I'm not allowing myself to handle other parts of my wellness, you know, whether it's my emotions, the grieving process, you know, dealing with pain and trauma. So anything so that saying of like anything, too much of anything is not good.
Okay.
So I think it's like working out too much.
I've been told over the past months that I'm going to burn out by other people. They're telling me that I'm going to burn out.
Yeah. Have you felt it yet?
That I've burnt out?
Yeah.
Growing up, right, I played football, American football, not soccer. And I used to do 2-a-days during the summers. This was when there was a summer when I was living in Lovejoy. Not living in Lovejoy. I went to high school named Lovejoy, Southern Clayton County, Georgia.
Oh my gosh.
Salute to Clayco.
That's super
southern. Lovejoy. And the city I lived in was Jonesboro. They call that the hood. They call that ghetto. Like that's Riverdale area. That's like, you know, the hood.
Okay.
Riverdale, Lovejoy is one of the schools in that area. I went there. We used to do 2-a-days. 5 a.m. you up, running. Wow. It ain't telling you how long you running. You just running. And then you got morning practice, padded, football, straight, contact.
Yeah.
Then you got weight room midday. And then by the evening time is back in the, you eat, then you go back into the weight room for second round of weights. And then you go back on the field, full pad practice, right? I definitely need to work out like that because I would lose 15 to 20 pounds. I would put my body through a lot of strenuous work, right?
Yeah.
And back then, you know, I had the desire to do it. And putting myself through that, I took that same mentality into life, like in terms of like working. If I I think I told you I want to actually put that same energy into other things like focusing on cryptocurrency and putting that, you know, like, but I need to segment my life a little bit more and not burn myself out in certain areas. But I just have that mentality of running until you throw up.
Till you burn out.
Exactly. Leaving it all on the field. So in some ways, I love this. I love the fact that I had, you know, sports in my life because it gave me that structure I needed. But in some ways, it also had, between that and then my father's and the way he moved and the way he lived, and, you know, me maybe using work as a way to cope from negative traumas in my life and past relationships, 100%. Like to say, you know what, you know, let me focus on myself and boss up. But then don't realize that part of my reasoning for that is to escape the real feeling that, you know, I feel inside. You know, so I would say that's my vice. Man, that was loud. I'm just popping my knuckles. But yeah, so that has to be my vice. Yeah. I don't have that much vices.
That's good.
But that is definitely
I think one of them. Acknowledging it is always like it's the first step. It's cliche. I can relate because it's the same thing. Like that's definitely one of my vices, and it doesn't seem bad. Like people are like, "What do you mean? Like that's a good thing to be career driven or just a hustler and go hard?" But you need balance in life. You know, it's like overwatering a plant. Yeah, water is good for a plant, but if you overwater it, it's gonna die. So you need,
bingo.
Yeah, you need that balance. Same thing with an athlete. Like, and you would know this because you played sports. Like, yeah. Working out is important, but rest is just as important for your body.
Sleep, super important.
Sleep is huge.
That's when your body has to recover.
Yeah,
and if you don't sleep, your body won't recover. Yeah. And when you work out, you would actually be less efficient in your workouts.
Yeah, what's the point?
Yeah.
So I think knowing that you do need some form of balance is important when it comes to any type of vice. So I'm not saying like completely eliminate everything. I think anything done too much is is when it becomes a vice, right? Because now you're overusing, you're overindulging. So anything that's overindulgence, so overeating, oversleeping, overworking, all these things can become vices, ways to cope. And I think that one of the hardest ones to overcome is eating. And that's why fasting is so powerful, because now you're realizing like your animalistic urges are coming out. Like, you know, you're getting hangry. You're like, but I want to eat. But if you can control that with your mind, imagine what you can control everything else, you know?
You know what's crazy? And I'm going to ask you what your vices is, but just to throw this in there. Salute to my friend Tista. Tista used to follow me around Light Vibes with food because she knew that I wouldn't eat.
Wow.
Because I was just so focused on, making sure the DJs were straight, making sure the bar has, the more alcohol, making sure things are running there, going to the door, dealing with it. But meanwhile, I got an earpiece in my ear with different people, hitting me up. So I'm like all over the place during the party, right? And she knew that I was there from morning setting up until breaking down, last person out, paying out everybody, boom. And she knew throughout that entire process, I probably wouldn't eat because I was just so driven on executing the business.
Wow. Yeah.
To where
you wouldn't eat.
I wouldn't eat.
That's literally my dad.
That's harmful.
Yeah, my dad doesn't sleep or eat. All he thinks about is work. And it's like, now it's becoming a disadvantage, which is good that they did that for you, because if you didn't eat, you would have crashed.
Sometimes I didn't eat. So she would give me something and she'd find it with one bite and she'd be like, yo, is this yours?
Yeah.
Not sustainable. But I like just this conversation.
Yeah.
We think that, being hustlers, and we think sometimes that, going hard is the right thing to do when sometimes we're just harming ourselves in so many other ways.
Yes.
It could have led to neglecting things in a relationship, neglecting family, like
your health.
Yeah.
Everything.
I admit, I don't think it was healthy for my dad to work so much because it left him with no time to spend with me and my sisters. Mm-hmm. So his relationship with us isn't as strong as it could have been. Mm-hmm. And I've seen fathers that were more present and what it did for their families. Mm-hmm. So I have things, for contrast. And so that definitely, those out there who don't think working hard, too hard, is a vice.
Yeah, it is. Trust me. It catches up to you. And I think, sometimes like we might not know that something is a vice because we're like, how can that be a vice? Like I said, anything done too much can be a vice. And to answer what my vices are, like I used to sleep like anytime I was like, well, at least I'm not indulging in a substance or anything, I'm just going to sleep it off.
Sleepy ass.
Well, here I am sleeping all the time.
Sleepy head.
Yeah, just knocking out in corners, like.
In corners? Wait.
Like I'd be like angry, and then I'd be like, I'd be studying for something, and then I'd get in an argument, and I'd be like, all right, let me just find a little corner. I'm just gonna like take a nap, rest.
I don't know why I'm picturing you like curled up in the corner somewhere sleeping.
That might have been how it was. No, but
like just right over in the corner and go to sleep.
I could dead ass fall asleep on this chair right now if I
wanted. These chairs are pretty comfortable.
Yeah, they are pretty comfy. Yeah. But that's the thing, like that became, and now my body was conditioned to that because every time I get really upset, I would start yawning, and I was like, that's weird. Like, how does it know that it needs to shut down? So I'd have to revert inward. So now I had to unprogram that. But so definitely the sleeping, the shopping. So like, that instant gratification. I'm feeling like, oh, I took a loss today. I'm gonna just go treat myself. And it's like, that is just going to put me in deeper in my pockets, and it's going to, instant gratification, but long term, that's just going to set me back financially. So
do you think any sneakerheads have maybe buying sneakers as a vice?
Yeah, that's my vice. 100%. It's an addiction. I used to do it all the time. I'd be like, yo, I'm sad. You know what would cheer me up? Some new sneakers. Because I'm going to order them. That's going to make me happy. Then they're going to come. That's going to make me happy. I'm going to rock them. That's going to make me happy. But it's like, yeah. But then I'm looking at my credit card and it's like, yeah, I'm buying 2 sneakers every month. That's like easily like 5-6 bills. Mm-hmm. That's a little bit under half of rent. Like that's a lot of money just on sneakers.
In one of our future episodes, we're going to speak about how you can take that sneaker money and invest in cryptocurrency.
I know.
You guys love my professional voice?
I love it. No, but honestly, like I'm now in a place in my life where I'm like, I want to be an adult. I want to sell some sneakers and put it into investments. because I want that money to make me money so I can buy more sneakers.
You're smart. You think about the long game. You're not thinking about the short game. You need 100K to satisfy your needs.
And you know what? Maybe without realizing, this is a whole other tangent, but some of the sneaker purchases that I did were investments, you know, because I knew that they had value in investment. So I wasn't just buying the sneaker, I was buying the investment.
Oh, so you were flipping sneakers then?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
I still have some, like, just in case if I was ever tight, I know I could flip them for like.
So you're the one that went and bought out all the
not the wheats.
the wheats.
Yeah. No.
Wheat ones.
Yeah, people be coming in and buying, but sometimes they be buying the most random sneaker, and I'm like, how, where, what investment are you gonna make off of these like New Balances? Like, I really don't understand. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's a market somewhere in the world. I'm assuming.
Maybe, or they're flipping it.
Right.
Who knows?
But before we go, I just wanted to know your small joy of the week. Something that made you happy.
I had a conversation with the homie last night, and we talked about like he just shared some things I didn't know about him. He's in the same event space as me, and it just was, we don't talk on the regular.
Yeah,
we might exchange laughs and jokes on Clubhouse here now and then, or on Twitter or whatever social media. We run in the same mutual circles. We both know the work that we do in entertainment, things like that. But him and I got on a call last night, and we spoke for like over an hour, and he shared, just where he was mentally back in like 2017, and he told me some things about his life that I didn't know, in terms of like how rough it was for him at that point, and some of the things that he was operating on faith about. And we just shared some vulnerable stories with each other about where we were at some points, and we just talked about a healthier way to look at things.
That's good.
And we actually talked about just making some changes and learning different things to better ourselves is kind of like what we should be focused on. Especially how the world's changing so much. I'm not in an event space where I could just pick up and throw a party or whatnot. Like that, a lot of things forced me to pivot. So having that conversation with him actually brought light to something that I feel like I was sleeping on. And just having that random conversation with him that lasted well over an hour.
I love those.
Being vulnerable. Yes. That's something guys don't do. Like,
I know.
Guys to admit that, I was, feeling like this, or like he was telling me how, he has X amount of money, and before he really does anything major with it, he decided to get a financial advisor and get a therapist.
Whoa, that's grown man moves right there. That is amazing. I love that. Love to see it.
So he's like he hasn't done anything before he
that's huge,
splurged and
wow,
bought 1,000 sneakers. He just like, let me go get a financial advisor and a therapist, and he's been doing that for like a little bit over a year now.
Changing. Oh wow, I would love to
imagine if ball players I'm just joking. No, I'm not joking. Imagine if ball players was just like, let
me go talk to someone, and
when I get this big contract, let me go get a therapist and a financial advisor.
Yes, both actually, because they're both very important, because a lot of them become broke after a lot of.
But we feel as though we don't need to listen to people.
I know.
Insert tell me how to spend my money.
I know. And you want to tell me about my problems? You don't know anything about me. And
then also, the fact that we a lot of us. Well, I say us. I was in that race to get into the league, but. A lot of ball players definitely felt as though they didn't have these things growing up.
Yeah.
So for them, maybe, they just needed to fulfill that feeling because they could. So let me go buy this Phantom.
This Rolex. Rolexes. Plural.
Richard Milles.
Like why?
But it's just because we didn't have it. So, that's a conversation that's people have been saying for a long time.
Therapy comes in. Like, that's why I think both of them together is powerful.
Yeah.
Because now you're seeing why you're buying the things you're buying. And maybe those are the vices, which brings it back to understanding yourself.
So he shared that, and, we
Love
had
it.
that conversation, and, let me just put it like this. After that conversation, just speaking on, financial literacy, better ways to, treating our bodies right, being in the best, putting our bodies in the best decisions to make good, putting our body in the best positions so that our minds could make clear and decisive decisions. Just like we're just trying to fine tune. We were talking about just fine tuning ourselves, what we eat, what we read, what we consume, different things like that. So just, that for me was the joy for this week, for sure, was that conversation.
That's so good. I love combos like that. They always fill me with life. And I just get motivated and inspired again to reapproach everything.
And motivation is everything.
Oh, it's my favorite feeling.
If you don't feel motivated, you're not going to do it.
Inspiration, motivation is like my favorite emotion to feel, if it is emotion. But I guess my small joy of the week is I've been trying to cook a lot more for myself and learn new recipes. And I made a really good curry the other day. And I was like, say a word, I'm a whole wife. I knew I was, but,
What's that curry?
Red Tide? No, it was a golden curry.
Oh, okay. I said what type of curry? Okay.
Golden
cool.
Curry.
Golden curry.
With
nice.
veggies.
Cool.
I could have added shrimp, but I forgot to add the shrimp, but it was still bomb. So, just been trying to show love to myself through cooking as a love language. So it's been good.
Dope.
So this was a good episode.
Yeah.
Number 2.
Episode number 2 with me on it.
2 for 2. 2 for 2. I don't even know. Go
check out the previous episodes and,
catch
go
us.
to keyradio.com/callmecrazy. Find some of the archives.
Yeah.
We'll try and get as much as the previous episodes on there too, like way
I know.
back.
There's so many.
We'll get those on
We'll
there.
get them eventually.
But they're on Spotify too, so check it out on Spotify.
And if you want to continue with our journey, follow us at Call Me Crazy Pod, Key Radio on IG, Be For Real for me. I don't know if you want to plug
at Sir
yourself.
Triz. Yes, Sir Triz.
Sir Triz.
Find me.
But yeah, that's all for now. We'll see y'all next week.
We out.
Peace.